At this time I was 18. I'm a female, and it was the first few weeks in college. I had moved hours away from my hometown in order to get some space from my family and actually do something I wanted to do. I'm not sure if this is the same for every college, but the first few weeks people seem to be scrambling for friends and are super outgoing, and I was like that as well. In my major, I had made a few friends, especially this girl named Kelsey. She was pretty, tall, and we were very similar in what we liked as far as hobbies and interests go. So when she invited me to a house party that her male friend was throwing a few weeks into the house, I immediately said yes. I've been drinking since I was 15, knew all the good drinking games, and in general, I'm a very fun drunk to be around. Or so I'm told, so I'm super excited to go. So this is a summertime in the Midwest, so we're talking 90 plus degrees, not including the humidity. I showed up at this house party in shorts and a tank top. I hadn't really done anything special with my makeup or hair, because honestly, in this weather, why bother, right? I would have legit just melted off my face. So right away, I'm not super into the scene. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2-story house, kind of on the ghetto of the large town we're in. The music's so loud, the old windows are rattling, and the house practically bursting with people. I was about to nope the fuck out when Kelsey appeared and grabbed my wrist. She was super excited to see me and pulled me inside, claiming we were next at beer pong. Inside the house was literally like an oven, no windows open, and the air obviously was off. Just the front and back door wide open to let the non-existent breeze through. I decided whatever, I was going to have some fun here and then leave kind of early to get home in time to shower before I passed out. Everyone was sweating, dancing to the music, and drinking lukewarm beer. It was pretty horrible if we're going to be honest, but as a college kid, I could deal. Beer was free for girls, so I drank for nothing that day. It started getting kind of creepy a few hours into the party. I would guess at about midnight. There had been a tall, thin guy that had been hovering, and I thought that he was Kelsey's friend, because she grew up in the same town in the college. He had dark hair cut short, dark eyes, a nervous smile, and a ratty white shirt with dark basketball shorts. He pretty much blended in with half the guys there. After dominating in beer pong for a solid hour, we were defeated, so I excused myself to go outside and cool off a bit. Kelsey said she would join me after she went to the bathroom. Outside was still horridly hot, but better than inside surrounded by warm bodies. I recognized a few people from earlier beer pong games, but no one I really cared to talk to. I turned around to watch for Kelsey when I almost ran into the guy. He was way taller up close, I would guess around 6'4", and he smelled like weed, beer, and body odor. I stepped back and looked up to chew him out. The awkward smile was affixed as his eyes were glued to my chest. "Excuse me, can I help you?" I snipped at him with a hand on my hip. "Did you get all pretty for me?" he asked, his voice deeper than I thought it would be. As stated above, no makeup, hair halfway up to keep my neck cool, and just wearing casual clothes. I didn't look hot, pretty, or any of that. I was there to drink and hang out with my female friend. What? Was that a bad pickup line? I've been watching you all night." "Yeah," I said, and went to take another step back. I noticed, "Are you looking for Kelsey?" He looked confused. "Who's Kelsey?" "No, I don't know a Kelsey." "Alright, red flags going up. So you were legit watching me all night?" He nodded, the creepy grin coming back. "Dude, what the hell?" He seemed surprised that I was upset. "Seriously dude, you smell and you're hella creepy. Walk away." I went to move away, and he grabbed my wrist tightly. It hurt to the point that I winced and he practically snarled at me. "Hey dude, what's up?" A random guy from the party had taken a few steps off the porch and was checking in. Just my girlfriend being mouthy. The string bean of an assaulter yelled back. He began to drag me down the road, literally dragging me so hard that my flip-flops came off, and my bare heels were dragging on asphalt. He was muttering to me what he was going to do to punish me, hurt me. I was livid. I grew up fighting with all 6 of my brothers and dealing with an abusive father. No way this human was going to scare me. I squirmed like an alligator on a line, spinning and screaming. He grabbed my hair, but that just made me more angry, and I bit him, hard. I tasted blood and started punching at anything I could reach. His hand loosened on my hair, and I wrenched my head back, spitting his own blood in his face as he stumbled back. He went to go hit me, I think he maybe did at one point, with the anger and adrenaline coursing through me. It was like a light tap on my shoulder. I didn't feel anything, I didn't care, I was going to take him down. Out of nowhere, Kelsey seemed to appear with the guy who had called out to check on us. Kelsey grabbed my middle as I was flailing to claw at this guy's face, and the guy went to stand on the other guy's middle so he wouldn't get up. The next few minutes were a blur. I remember my heart pounding so hard in my chest that it echoed in my ears. I was ushered back to the porch where someone got me water to clean out my mouth and a few paper towels. Apparently I had a cut on my cheek and his blood on my chin. The guy who had jumped in to help ended up letting the guy go. He got away, no one called the cops, and I didn't either because I had been underage drinking. All of it was a stupid combination of dumb teenagers, booze, and adrenaline. Needless to say, I did not hang out with Kelsey again because she turned out to be the worst kind of person. She told me it was my fault for walking out with him, and I had probably done something to lead him on. Found out later the kid who tried to take me was named Jordan and didn't attend the same college, but he had dropped out after a few months due to not attending. Funny twist, but a few years ago, when I was 22, I was looking around on Facebook and one of the suggested friends was Kelsey. She was shockingly in a relationship with Jordan, and they were having their second kid together. A few people told me over the years she had gotten into some hard drugs and got together with a total loser, so that's fun. She has contacted me a few times trying to explain why Jordan acted that way and trying to defend her baby daddy to me. No thanks. I was celebrating my Quinceanera during mid-October of 2022. It wasn't going to be a huge party since I didn't really want one, but since I'm the only girl in my family, my parents felt it was necessary to throw me a party. It was being held at a public park in the middle of our town where many Quinceaneras and celebrations were held. So when you were having a celebration, everybody knew what it was, who you were, and regardless of whether they were invited or not, they would attend just to drink booze and dance. Everything was going well the day of my party. I had a special father-daughter dance, all my friends came to support me, and it's one of my favorite memories. There was a rodeo happening the same day as well, so not everybody who was invited came up until 9 or 10 p.m. That's when those who weren't even invited came to drink and watch the party. 11 p.m. rolled around, and pretty much all of my friends and the guests had left except those who were helping with cleaning up the park. It was cold, so not many offered to help. The only people who really stayed was this group of guys who I had never seen before in my life. There had to be about 5 of them, all with booze in their hands, wearing baseball caps and dressed in black. They definitely didn't look like they came from the rodeo, nor from my party. They ranged in age from early 20s to late 40s. I didn't exactly notice them until I sat down on one of the benches to talk to a family friend, and I noticed them just standing there staring at me. Now keep in mind, I'm a 15-year-old girl, skinny and short, with a big dress, so I could have easily been overpowered by any of these guys, and I knew that, so I became paranoid very quickly. At first I didn't think much of it, and figured they must be looking at the decorations, or just my dress, since I did have quite a flamboyant dress on. Then one of the guys, the youngest looking one, started walking up to me and handed me a $100 bill. He said absolutely nothing. Didn't even smile, which made everything much more peculiar, since people usually say congratulations or I love your dress, but all this guy did was widen his eyes at me when he came closer. I took the money and said thank you so much, and put it in the box I had where I put all the money I got. Then my family friend had left, and I was left alone with all these men standing probably 5 feet in front of me, all huddled up in a group just intensely staring at me. I quickly became extremely uncomfortable, but I didn't know what to do. They weren't even trying to be discreet about it. They all had their eyes wide open just looking at me. I don't know if they were drunk or high or just plain stupid, but whatever it was, they definitely didn't seem like they had good intentions. When I would make eye contact with them, I smile since I was just trying to be polite. I was always taught to be friendly to guests. When I would look away though, they would make noises at me, like whistle at me or noises you make to call an animal's attention. They started getting closer and whispering to each other, but thanks to some miracle, my older brothers came over to ask me if I wanted to leave with them, since they were going back home. I immediately said yes, and I told them about the creepy guys that were standing there staring at me. They told me that I should have said something as soon as I got uncomfortable, and they were right, but I was frozen since I didn't know what to do or what to think. When I tried to point them out to my brothers, they were already gone. Unfortunately, the story doesn't necessarily end there. A couple weeks go by, and I end up getting a Facebook friend request. At this point, I had already forgotten about the incident until I looked at the profile picture of the friend request, and I recognized the guy in the picture as one of the creeps. I was terrified and immediately went to show my brothers. One of them texted the account telling him to stay the hell away from me, and I reported and blocked the account. I ended up creating a whole new different Facebook account under a different name. I just can't fathom what could have happened if I had been completely alone with those guys for any longer, or if they had found more than just my Facebook account. Two years ago, my boyfriend and our guy best friend and myself all attended a Halloween party for a college we did not go to. We knew very few people at this party, and at the time of this event, they had all either left or passed out drunk. As most college parties do, people tend to get way too trashed way too early in the night. College kids do not live up to their partying reputation, because as this story progresses, understand that everyone in this story is probably way too inhibited for their own good, aside from my boyfriend, my friend, and I, who drink fairly often. The odd dynamic that probably escalated this situation is that my boyfriend and I don't really express PDA, and when I show up with other male friends of mine, people don't necessarily think I have a date at the party. However, I tend to be pretty standoffish to people I don't know, and take pride in my disengaging attitude that I feel prevents creepy encounters. I am not an easy target. The story is about Muhammad, the host of this party. We arrive and find him outside sitting and talking with a girl. As we approach, she leaves him there. Muhammad tells us he was just rejected by her. We pick him back up and give him the plenty of fish in the sea shtick and try not to let it dampen the party. Muhammad takes this as an invitation. Since that moment, he's taking every chance he can to put his arm around my shoulders, getting offended when I brush him off, and following us from room to room. Muhammad is absolutely trashed before we even start drinking, so we are hyper-focused on his attempts. We are still just trying to party, so every time he followed us, we would delicately leave the room, only for him to tag along not only a few seconds later. Our suspicions are confirmed when we're gathering information on our beloved host. We find the girl who had rejected him earlier. She tells us she had never met him before, and before we had showed up, he had tried to kiss her and she was relieved when we interrupted. Other partygoers, when questioned about his behavior, simply said, "Oh, that's just Muhammad when he drinks." My boyfriend and I start kissing sloppily as a defense mechanism so that Muhammad knows that I'm a lady who is spoken for, and I have a boyfriend watching my back every time I go to the bathroom, so I would not be cornered. Muhammad is continuing to drink heavily. My guy best friend leaves with his date and leaves my boyfriend and I there. My boyfriend and I are still having a good time, but making plans to leave. We intend to drink the place dry before we go just to spite our rude guest. We're assholes, we know. So he and I plant ourselves on the couch together with a bottle of Jamio. We see Muhammad again. He has a full cup of beer and can barely make words or stand upright. He points to my bottle. I hesitate giving it to him for obvious reasons. He gestures again and I feign ignorance. Muhammad grabs this bottle of whiskey and dumps its remains into his beer hastily. He goes to take a satisfied slurp and spills half the contents into my lap. Party foul. When he realizes all the attention is on him, he stumbles away. We decide that it's time to leave. In the calm of the storm, my boyfriend and I are in the basement alone, laughing and draining the keg set up there before we make our escape. Lo and behold, Muhammad stumbles down, barely coherent, but looking for trouble. My boyfriend suggests we just make our way up the stairs and leave, like we had been doing all night. Muhammad had other ideas. I step 1 foot on the stairs, and this drunk asshat put his arm and shoulder across the front of my body to prevent me from leaving. Big no-no. My boyfriend and I have been the most easygoing, non-confrontational people all night, and we have had enough. "Dude, it's time to stop," is all my boyfriend said before Muhammad lunged at him and they begin brawling. Muhammad, being the more physically inhibited one, is not landing any blows, but is too drunk to feel any pain, so it takes a bit of struggling for my boyfriend and I to restrain him on the ground. I yell that he better stay there until we leave, and we proceed upstairs to inform his friends where he is. On the first floor of the house, trying to collect ourselves, Muhammad emerges from the basement, and he is pissed. He is completely incoherent, and no one can talk any sense into him. The scariest part about this was his eyes. Completely bloodshot and void of any awareness, almost animal-like. He goes after my boyfriend and catches me in between them, so my boyfriend and I are trying desperately to fend him off together while all the sleepy drunks are waking up from the screaming. He finally subsides and my boyfriend and I fly out the door into the street, leaving the door wide open behind us. The weirdest part being that as we left, the other partygoers were yelling, Dude, what are you doing?" Muhammad says, "I love her." The partyers remind him, You don't even know her.